So you are likely already doing CFUs or checks for understanding to some extent, but there's a way to capitalize on this when you're using it with complex texts. And it doesn't have to be like physical text that is words, right? It could be other forms of media. So it could be text like a nonfiction or a fiction text that you put those checks for understanding in. But it could also be when you're doing like a video and you pause it, or you could do it with a photo and make sure that you are like pausing and asking strategic questions. The part of checks for understanding that I think a lot of times gets left out because we're always just in a rush and we have so many things to do, is that we don't, at least I can be guilty of this, I don't always scribe my answers. But I know when I write out my answers to my checks for understanding questions that I come up with, I always get better results from my students, because it partners with the right is right strategy and holding out for all the way, which are Teach Like a Champion strategies. And I know there's lots of mixed feelings on Teach Like a Champion, but that's one strategy that I think, or two strategies from the text that I feel like really does a nice job of holding students accountable for ensuring that they have the right information. So for example, here I have a check for understanding that says, why might this make it so hard to pursue their goals? Again, going back to grounding it in what are my concepts, what is my standard, and what am I trying to get my students to get out of this experience? And so things that students might say is, they were tired, they may end up being discouraged, it's hard to communicate, it took a long time to get things done. Those are all reasons why it might make it hard to pursue their goals of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But if a student just came back to me and said, well, it doesn't make them happy. Okay, but that is not the question that I was asking. The question I was asking is, why might this make it hard to pursue their goal of being happy? And like, what is the reasoning behind? So they gave you a half right answer when they said, because it doesn't make them happy. And so you want to make sure that you're holding out for all the way. You're telling the student, this is really hard to say, but no, that is not correct, but I'm going to help you get the rest of the way there, and telling the student why their answer is not correct. So no, happiness is the wrong answer because that's the goal. What is getting in the way of them being happy? And then giving like scaffolding for students to get them all the way to the correct answer. And then they're feeling the success of getting all the way there. They are learning that like it's okay to be wrong and you are creating a safe space in your classroom community. There's a lot that happens. And then right is right so part of that is that right is right. Right answer at the right time. And then the other part of that holding out for all the way is like if students only give you half of an answer, so why might this make it hard to pursue their goals? They were tired. Well, what else? Like, why were they tired? Because they were traveling. Okay, but what would have made them travel? And like getting students asking additional questions and follow-ups to get them all the way to the correct answer, to get the completeness of it there is really important.